42, 2nd, November 13, 2022.
911 location of your emergency.
Something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
He didn't just take them from the world. He took them from me. My friends. My people who felt like my home. The people I looked up to and adored more than anyone.
To murder in the first degree for the murder of Kaylee Gonzalez. How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Shame on me for letting Kaylee down. It's my mistake. I'm sorry, Kaylee. I'm truly sorry that I didn't get you a prosecutor who really believed what happened to you could only be fixed with life.
Every day for us something new. Open mind for a different view. And nothing else matters.
Ethan won only just literally one time. He deserves it. He deserves.
Brutally murdered in an off-campus home at the University of Idaho.
I miss him every day. When you lose your son at 20, you know, it's different. It's a different loss.
As it relates to the murder of Madison Mogan, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
So close, no matter how far.
God, I would just give a moment, man. 5 minutes out in the woods. Oh, man. Ooh. There's no place for you in heaven. You took our children. You are gonna suffer, man. I'm shaking because I want to reach out to you, but I hope you feel my energy, okay? Go to hell.
What's wrong? She's not waking up.
Never open myself this way. Life is ours, we live it our way.
Who you? You want the truth? Here's the one you'll hate the most. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your fucking ass. Thank you.
Thank you.
Every day for us something new. Open mind for a different view. And nothing else matters.
Hello? And you're going where? Oh, okay. We're a little...
Okay, and how old is she?
She's 20.
20, you said?
While we know there are some who do not support it, we ask that they respect our belief that this is the best outcome possible for the victims, their families, and the state of Idaho.
Couldn't be much more from the heart. Forever trusting who we are. No, nothing else matters.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, let me pause this. Yeah. Okay, oh my gosh, it's been over a week since I've been live, so let me know how I sound in chat. I do apologize. I've been out with stomach issues, but I've also been trying to kick a habit at the same time. Let me just get this over here. And if you're coming in today, it is Sensei Wackadoodle's birthday. If you can, please wish her a happy birthday. That is so awesome. She's spending time with us. Today's live, I'm just going to go over all kind of the latest stuff with Bryan Kohberger. I know a lot of channels are covering it. I have missed out on a lot. I tried to do some stuff that other channels haven't. Again, there's so many channels out there, but I'm going to cover just a lot of different things. Some of the crime scene photos, I'm not covering the really graphic ones. And yeah, just a bunch of different areas. And then, of course, you know, there's always the question, you know, where was the connection? They couldn't really fully prove it, at least during their research. It looks like, in my opinion, especially with the recent documents, it shows that Coberger was deleting a lot of stuff right after the murders. The Cellubrite experts did kind of go over his phone, and oh, that's so awesome! Thank you guys so much for wishing her a happy birthday. That was awesome. She's been a mod for a long time. My mods are amazing, so thank you guys for doing that. Yeah, it's happy birthday. Before we get started, yeah, so I've been a smoker for about 10 years, well, over 10 years, and I've been trying to quit this year. And I don't know if my buddy's in the chat. He knows the struggle I've been going through, but I've been trying to quit all this year and gotten really close and cut back quite a bit. And then finally, when I got sick last week with my stomach issues, if anybody's a former smoker or a current smoker knows when you're sick, you kind of don't smoke as much. So I used that as an opportunity to try to quit. And so today is day 8 with no cigarettes. You know, a lot of people switch over to vape. I'm not much of a vape guy myself anyway. It has kind of helped with the urges, but it has been rough. So I do apologize. It's crazy when you're trying to quit smoking and all the little things that you normally do routine-wise. And of course, my main job is working on the computer, making videos, and I'd always have a routine where I'd start to make a video, I get to a certain part, and then I'd go have a cigarette, and then come back. So it has been a bit. Today, it's kind of funny. I thought day 2 and 3 were hard. Today has been probably the hardest day because I'm like, your brain is so wired when you've done it for so long, and being on the computer, this is the first time in a week that I've really been on the computer for more than a couple of hours, and it was tough. Vaping is how you quit. Yeah, so I like I said, I have a vape, and I'm not a vape person. I have people that switched over to vaping. So, yeah, I do it a little bit, but yeah, I'm not a vape guy, but it does help. So, yeah, it's day 8. It's the longest I've gone. I'm actually getting sensation where I smell things. It's kind of interesting. But anyway, you guys are here for the Bryan Kohberger. I'm not going to rant anymore, but yeah, it is a bitch. But yeah, I'm happy.
In summer
I wish I could
2022,
fix the stomach issue, but hopefully it'll help. So anyway, let's get on
Bryan
with
Kohberger relocated to Washington to pursue a PhD in criminology at WSU, located in Pullman, less than 8 miles from Moscow, Idaho. This move is significant as it established his presence in close proximity to the University of Idaho, where the victims were students. His enrollment at WSU, a neighboring institution, facilitated his access to the area and potentially his familiarity with the local environment, which is crucial for understanding his activities leading up to the murders.
So here's Bryan Kohberger pulled over. Obviously, you guys have seen this video. Let's see. And this was basically a month before the murders.
Reported Coberger trying to use his authority to...
I wanted to play this part. I did this in the last slide, but obviously in the documents, one of the things we learned is he had a bunch of pictures of different college students on his phone.
Inappropriately interact with female students, expressing a desire for a girlfriend.
And one of classmates had saw his phone and actually saw her picture in it, which made her uncomfortable. And he did try to, of course, interact with her,
indicating potential predatory
court her.
tendencies. A WSU student saw pictures of herself and friends on Coberger's phone, traced to her
awesome.
public Instagram account from fall 2022, despite never speaking to him, raising privacy concerns. Coberger asked L to help fight allegations from Dr. S, but L refused, calling Coberger dishonest, leading to his termination from the TA program and loss of PhD funding, as detailed in emails.
So first part I'm going to go over this video is kind of the connections again. I know the prosecution couldn't get to a direct connection, but there is little tidbits, which we'll go over here in just a second. But it is clear, obviously, he was stalking that area.
Between June 2022 and November 13th, 2022.
And I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted because... smoking ruins everything. So, yeah, I figured. And I've been trying way before even my stomach issues really started going off. But, yeah, the beginning of this year, I've been trying this whole year. Sorry to get sidetracked. Is everybody? And, yeah, I haven't done hypnosis. I've tried acupuncture. I quit with the patches once, but the patches, when I take them now, I don't know. I get, like, dizzy and stuff. And, yeah. Anyway. Today has been the hardest day. I'm not gonna lie, because I've not been on the computer like this long, and this, like, for those that know smoking, like when you go to drive, you smoke. So there's just all these different things that you normally do, and then have a smoke. So it's like all these different triggers, and so yeah. Anyway, so we know that Bryan Kohberger was obviously.
Coberger's cell phone was
hunting for victims
detected connecting to cell towers near the victim's residence at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, on multiple occasions. Reports vary, with some sources indicating at least 12 connections, as noted in Wikipedia and other timelines, and others specifying up to 23 connections, primarily between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. over a 4-month period, as per ABC News and the New York Times. This pattern, often late at night, suggests that Coberger was frequently in the vicinity of the crime scene before the murders, which could indicate surveillance or planning. The consistency across multiple sources.
So yeah, we originally heard that he was there for like at least 12 times. Now with the latest documents, they say almost up to 23 times where he was pinging off that cell tower near the victim's home.
Sources, including court affidavits and investigative reports. Director of Forensic Research.
Okay, so here's the newer stuff, but I just wanted to touch on that. Let me just catch up in chat here. Oh, thank you, baby kisses. God bless you. I appreciate it. And Fly Girl, member for 15 months, because you're amazing, dedicated to find the missing. Thank you so much. And of course, I know a lot of you guys are here with me from Sebastian and stuff, and I will do more stuff with Sebastian. I just hate to rehash old stuff. I always try to take a break and then kind of come back at those cases from a different angle. But so I know this footage was released, like 2 weeks ago, approximately. But I wanted to play this because it's kind of interesting. I'm sure a lot of people did mention what happened in this clip, but for those that don't know, we'll kind of talk about it because I think it does kind of lead into the connections to the victims.
Celebrate.
So this is when he got pulled over in Moscow, and I'll show exactly where he got pulled over. And then something happens right after.
He didn't just Google these cases, Heather said. He downloaded full PDFs of case files.
Oh, okay. So before we get into this stop, I forgot I added this in. One of the other things in the latest documents is
Not once, but repeatedly, he was downloading detailed reports on serial killers, including Danny Rolling,
and he's also known as the Gainesville Ripper, if anybody's heard of him. He was out of Florida. He hit 3 different times, I believe. Again, I just briefly looked at that case, but it happened in Florida, I think in the 90s, 80s.
Also murdered college students using a similar knife.
And yeah, he used a knife. And then what's creepy is even 2 out of the 3 homes, he used a screwdriver right here to pry open a sliding glass door It's just so eerie to hear that. Even though we don't know if the glass door at the victim's home was, or just left open or not. But that's so wild that he's researching this guy. I've heard of the Gainesville Ripper, and probably maybe, back in the day, maybe heard about him. But, yeah, he did a full research on him. And that's crazy. This guy did some very terrible stuff. I'm not, but yeah, he killed college students, beheaded one. But it's just so eerie. He used K-bar, knife, and just so wild that you have somebody that's researching a serial killer like Ted Bundy and this Gainesville Ripper, and then goes and commits a murder. And yeah, it's just the coincidences. It's so eerie. You're trying to quit vaping. Yeah. See, I don't have a problem with vaping, so but I never got like the real fancy vapes that, where you can take huge giant puffs on them. I've always just got the disposable ones because I'm not much of a vapor. Yeah, it's tough. Oh my God, it's tough.
Details of what the team found, including scrubbed files, private browsing, VPN activity, and obsessive downloads about other serial killers, were found hidden deep in his phone, not in a visible gallery or standard folder, but in buried file directories that required forensic tools to uncover. He had also downloaded reports on the Idaho murders and extensive searches of his victims.
Yeah, I've heard of the Gainesville Ripper, and I looked at it just a little bit. I mean, it's brutal. I think he killed 5 victims, 4 females, 1 male, I believe. I know 5 victims. And it was
Mogan
3 different times he broke into college student homes, I believe. And, yeah.
Xana Kernodle worked at...
So one of the things is one of the witnesses that would testify, obviously, which we've seen a lot, is experts in cell phones, such as Cellubrite. We've heard of that a lot since like Murdoch case and Delphi. And maybe not as much Delphi, but definitely Murdoch case. And Karen Reed. But obviously these are the experts that go into the phone and look at, all the little minute data. And one of the things that they had noticed is that the phone did at one point log into the Mad Greek Wi-Fi
at local restaurant The Mad Greek as servers before Coberger murdered them. After the killings, a fellow employee said they remembered Coberger visiting it twice and eating vegan pizza. So one Wi-Fi log caught Heather's attention when she was searching his digital footprint, the network name for the Mad Greek, though nothing concrete tied him to the location at the time of...
So I don't know if you guys remember, I think I forgot to pull it up. But if you guys remember, it was made by the Twitter account Del2000, DEL 2000. And they said, yeah, there was like a former employee that said, they seen him twice. And then shortly after, the Mad Greek responded saying, no, that's not true. This is from a disgruntled employee. But come to find out, that was actually most likely true. And maybe they were just trying to, Mad Greek was just trying to, not give away the details of the investigation. But and for those that don't know, obviously Madison and Xana worked there temporarily before the murders. So I think it's a good possibility he could have ran into him.
Wi-Fi log suggested he had been there before.
And they said there was a passive. So obviously if you go to different, if you have your phone and there's different Wi-Fis, from what I understand how they worded it is it's kind of like if you're at a location, your Wi-Fi is going to save that Wi-Fi signal.
Possibly more than once. There it was, Heather confirmed. His device had passively logged that network.
So I guess when they went into the data of the phone and the Cellubrite data, they could see that he did have the Mad Greek Wi-Fi, so I don't think that's too surprising. And I think that is a little connection to Madison, which I believe was his target. Just checking chat. Yeah, it's crazy. It did. And we had Mad Greek. It's so weird because we had Mad Greek here in Utah as well, because obviously Utah is just south of Idaho, and it's kind of wild. Never went there. I was never a big fan of the food myself. So there's Madison Mogan. So this one I think is so interesting because here's just more connection to Coberger and the victims, in my opinion. At least what's came out so far. And again, I know people have gone over this video. I'm just going to play the highlights and then play what happened after. Because it's, for anybody that doesn't know about this one. So obviously he got pulled over quite a bit in between June and the murders in November. This one was in August. And of course, remember, he lived in Pullman, Washington, but this is in Moscow, Idaho. And I'll show exactly where this is at.
Hey there. I stopped you going a little fast. You didn't realize this is 35?
Oh, it's 35?
It is, yeah. So you're going
41?
Yeah, 43 was what the radar said.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Do you have your license, the registration, insurance?
So here he gets pulled over. He was going 42. I guess it's supposedly 35, and he was going 42, I think is what it's, at least in the documents. The officer doesn't give him a ticket for speeding. He just gives him a seatbelt citation, which I think, again, he could have gotten both tickets. So the officer at least, kind of gave him a break. And, of course, he was out there trying to promote the seatbelt law.
Were you wearing your seatbelt when I stopped you? No. That's no good.
Sounds like a nice officer.
Just being honest with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You guys are... There's absolutely no point not being honest.
Yeah.
You have the radar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you got Matt Greek in Tennessee? Oh, interesting.
Do you have a vehicle registration slip or something like that? Okay.
Or did I give you my insurance?
Yeah, this is your insurance. That's good. Thing is, I'm on a overtime shift right now.
Okay, so I'm going to fast forward this. There isn't much here. But anyway, he ends up writing him a ticket for the seatbelt, which I think is, again, he got pulled over for speeding, and he just got a seatbelt. And, of course, again, he could have gave him 2 tickets, so... But it's what happens right after this and where he's at and where he goes to, for those that don't know,
Coberger,
is what's interesting.
It's here, just in front of you, otherwise they'll automatically be entered. It's only moving violations that go to insurance.
Yeah, why?
We need to put it on the citation as it goes to the court.
Okay. So that's pretty much it.
I should.
All right, so he was. So if we zoomed out, there's that one major road that you'll see that just kind of goes straight across. I think it's like 207, and then it turns into Interstate 8 or something like that. And anyway, that's where he was pulled over. Technically, it's Pullman Road. Yeah, I think it's called Pullman Road. But when you look at it zoomed out, it's like Interstate something. But it's Pullman Road. And then Pullman and Farm Road and West is what they call it. Anyway, that's where he's pulled over on August 21st. Obviously, that's 2 months, September, October. Yeah, just a little over 2 months before the murders. But it's what happens and where he goes to after that's really wild. So It doesn't say, let's see, it doesn't say the time on that. But later that evening, God, I wish I could get the time. Does it show the time on this? It doesn't, does it? Anyway, I'll have to get the time. So after he gets pulled over, and again, so he's here. Later in the evening, he gets pulled over again. And it's where he gets pulled over the second time that's really eerie. And it's literally off Main Street or Highway 95. And that is literally 2 minutes away from the victim's home. He gets pulled over there for... Oh, running a red light. That's right. So he gets pulled over twice. And he literally, if you look at the difference... So he got pulled over here on that main road that goes from Pullman to Moscow. And then if you were just to take this road, one of the very few roads, the victim's home, so he gets pulled over right here, 1136. And that is literally, so Queens Road is like right here. So it's literally a stone's throw away from where he was at. So let me know what you think in chat. But I think he had already, if he hadn't found his victims already, I think he was stalking them. I mean, what are the odds that he is, I mean, it's not a big area, but if you look at the areas that he could have, been in, I don't think it's a coincidence that he's literally half a mile away from their home. And God knows he could have been probably scouting their home and then was leaving and then ran a red light and got pulled over again. Be interesting to see if they maybe that guy didn't have his dash cam running at the time, but it's pretty wild. Yeah, not a lot of people have mentioned that. That's what I thought was interesting, because it's in there in the documents, and I was more fascinated on where he was pulled over, because it's literally, if you go in between them, it's basically where the victim's home's at. So it's like, you put two and two together, in my opinion, again, there's evidence that we'll go over later in the latest document release with the Cellubrite experts. After the murders, there is literally record of him just literally deleting stuff left and right. I wish we could actually have that like expert like breakdown, and we see like, how like in the Murdoch case where they broke it down and like we see each like log of what he did. That would be really fascinating. Shows he might have been... Yeah, I think, by August. I mean, he got there in June, so obviously he would, I think probably by August, I'm sure he had at least a good idea of who he was going to attack, in my opinion. So as you guys know, they have released the footage, but of the 112, the neighbor's home. The only issue is they've only released like certain amounts of it, and it kind of makes me mad. Here, I'll go over why, because there's a lot of footage that we could like audio enhance if they didn't fast forward like 90% of it, and I'm kind of upset they have not like released the entire video unadulterated, because there could be a lot of stuff that we might be able to hear. Yeah, I really hope they do. Because, if you remember the Murdoch case where we actually got to see like the logs and stuff, and even the Karen Reed case we could kind of see, it really helps, especially when you have the expert kind of, breaking it down for us. Yeah, that's right. He went to that pool party. Gosh, that's loud. Sorry, guys. So, as you guys know, I do audio enhance. So I did audio enhance some of this. I know other channels have done it. But here's the only issue I have with this. Like I was saying, is they've released this footage, but they've only released. So yeah. So here, this is what I'm talking about. So they speed through and they're just showing like when he arrives and leaves, and then they play just a little bit after or towards the end of the murder is happening. But there's a huge portion that they fast forward that, it'd be interesting to enhance the audio and see if we can hear him like maybe get out of the car or, other things. And so, I did enhance the audio, trigger warning in this. And again, I'm not going to show anything graphic. There's one thing towards the end that, with the crime scene, again, there's some really graphic ones. I'm not going to show graphic stuff. But here's him circling. So I did a couple of experiments, and we'll get to those. The DoorDash driver blows me away. I can't believe this person was walking around. But I really hope the Idaho statesman or somebody else gets this footage and releases it without fast-forwarding it and just unadulterated. Because, again, there's so much that we're missing out on. Yes, I agree. I think that's the biggest flop. They should have spoke with the family. I think that would have been a very good compromise. If they could have at least said, hey, you got to give up what you did with the evidence. Because what does it matter? You're getting a life sentence. I think they really messed up on that. So anyway, I enhanced the audio. I did some other things as well, so we'll go over that. But let me get to it here. Okay. So he's going to arrive. If you can, hit that like button. I appreciate the people who spend the time with me. Again, I apologize. I have not been feeling good, and I've had to break a smoking habit, so it's been tough. I'm not sure. Molly stands in front of 720 Molly. Is that the name of the DoorDash driver? The renter, there's a drive. Looking at the renter. Huh. So, obviously now he's in there and sadly taking the students' lives. I did enhance the audio. I do think you can hear some things, and I think there's probably, because again, obviously he probably gets in there at 4:09, between 4:08 and 4:10 by the time he gets into the home. So we're missing out on 7 minutes worth of audio. So this is enhanced, and I could have enhanced it even a little bit more, but because I don't have the original, it'd be nice to have the unadulterated footage, because then I would spend more time, because when you get the audio from like third-party sources, it's kind of lost its quality a little bit, so I don't want to spend as much time trying to enhance it when I know it, there's going to be a better original version will eventually come out. But here it is. I do think you can hear maybe what sounds to be Xana. And I'm trying to decide if that's Murphy or not. That dog sounds closer. And the only thing is I don't remember the surviving roommates never really mentioned the dog Murphy, right? So I do wonder if this is actually the dog that's at this home that's barking. That's my theory anyway, because that dog like barks for a long time, and it's like we've never heard like I don't think they really mentioned the dog like barking crazy like that. So I do think this in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe one or two could have been Murphy, but I really think this is just the dog that's at this home. Yeah, I think so too. So here is when there's something that sounds like somebody's saying something that could be Xana. So yeah, that's definitely kind of a sounds like a female. It's really hard. I know there's been some like people saying I forget what they allegedly claim she's saying. I can't really make. I can tell it sounds like a female, and it does sound like distress. So trigger warning. That is a pretty big thud. Yeah, see, that dog sounds much closer than the stuff. Again, that's just my opinion. Maybe it's Murphy. I think just because the dog keeps barking and it sounds like the same dog through the video makes me think it's the dog that's in this home. Again, that's just my opinion, though. I could be wrong. Yeah, he was barking an hour. Yeah, even neighbor's dog, yeah. It could be a combination, but it sounds like the same dog throughout. Yeah, see, that sounds way closer. Like when you have the headphones on, again, this is why I want the unadulterated footage, because then I could get maybe the stereo quality. Because, yeah, that sounds a lot closer in my opinion. And I hate that. Seeing that, oh man, there's so much stuff we're missing out. So then they let it play. They fast forward it. But that car is out of there. So yeah, there's a part where there's also the dog that continues to bark. There could be a combination of the two. Again, when I get, hopefully they'll release the unadulterated version, because again, I'm sure there's a lot more stuff. I mean, you guys know me in footage. I would love to break it down because I'm sure there's some stuff. So another thing is, you know, before we had this footage, we only had the Linda Lane footage. So I wanted to see if there was any audio. Could we actually pick up what we heard from the 112 King Road, you know, the neighbor's home, versus the apartment that's over 100 feet away from the crime scene? And here's what you get. So remember that this is when we hear the thud and the barking, and we are now going to listen to the audio from the Linda Lane version. And it's enhanced. I enhanced the hell out of it. But you can't hear anything. I just wanted to play that because if you guys remember it, the dog is barking throughout and there's thuds and I just don't hear anything. The only thing, and you can't even hear him peel out except for this part. This is the only thing that I can hear that I noticed from the footage from the 112 King Road is at 420. So remember, he peels out at 4:20, 4:19, say 4:20. And then when he's going through Walanta or Taylor, I think it's Walanta Drive, we can hear the audio coming from the back. And I thought it was the audio of him peeling out, but this is actually him already peeled out, but he's on like Walanta. And here's that audio from Linda Lane. So anyway, because I was trying to find some stuff from the Linda Lane if I could hear anything, because, you know, now we know like the times of some of the thuds. And I was trying to see, because, you know, there was theories that the murder happened much earlier. And again, I've listened to it. I've enhanced, if you guys have been with me a long time, know that I've enhanced all the audio from the Linda Lane footage. And there's really not a lot that you really hear, in my opinion anyway. But you do hear when he peels out, after he peels out. So you can see, I believe this is him on Walanta. So, oops. Sorry guys, didn't mean to go back that far. So we'll see him peel out. So we see the time 4:20. And he can either go left or right. And it looks like he goes left because we see this right here, which is Walanta Drive. And that's likely him. And then remember, that kind of curves back behind. And about 4:21 is when we hear that. And then, of course, what I was trying to show on the Linda Lane is you hear that at about the exact same time. So now, forget this footage right here. This is not the same. The footage down here is not. So please do not take this as being around the murders. This is at 11 a.m., I believe, that night. I just used this to kind of show, like, where the second camera is pointing. But anyway. Yeah, so I'm trying to do, again, so hopefully when they release all of the footage unadulterated, we're going to definitely break that down because there's going to be a lot to break down in that. So now we'll move on to the timeline and some other stuff that was released.
Cell Bright. Forensic analysis revealed that Coberger's phone had only 4 periods of total inactivity, dating back to June 2022. One of those silent moments occurred on the night of the murders.
Yeah, Debbie, please, that footage that I showed with Linda Lane, I knew, I was like, God, I probably should not put this up because I'll probably think that's at the time after the murders. That is not the same time as the murders, so please keep that in mind.
Turning off your phone isn't enough, Heather said. You have to disable Wi-Fi.
So this is also from the Cellular Bright. This came out the other day. This is why it'd be so nice to actually see them show these logs and break it down. But they did an interview with, I think, Independent News article, maybe some other ones, probably Daily Mail. But here's them kind of breaking down like how they knew the way that the phone was turned off was deliberate. It wasn't like he just lost cell service. He deliberately turned the cell phone off to where it was dark.
Disable cellular, then power down, and that's what he did. They discovered that in the days right before and right after the murders, Coberger disabled Wi-Fi access on his devices and routed his traffic through NordVPN, a tool designed to anonymize online activity.
So again, here's just before the murders, which we've broken down all the different times. Of course, back in the day, we didn't have the footage from next door, so now it adds answers a lot more questions. I do a couple things with that video here in just a second. I'm going to show you guys. Oh, thank you, lady. Yeah, I do a lot of breakdown on surveillance footage. It's kind of one of my favorite things. So I don't want to make it too confusing, but I did a couple of things with the footage. The first thing I want to focus, I think, on the DoorDash. The DoorDash. I think I start with the DoorDash lady, because it was always kind of a mystery, like what was the time frame she was in. Now we kind of know.
And like clockwork, we see the vehicle at 3:57, exactly 1 minute and 20 seconds later.
So this is his third pass. Oh, this is before his third pass. I'm sorry. So here's the DoorDash driver arriving at 3:46. You know, we always kind of thought she arrived much later, around 4. So she was there for a good 15 minutes. Oh, right on. So, I think this is just so wild. That this, and this is why I'd like to hear the audio. Man, we're missing out on so many details that we could break down with them fast forwarding this, because there could be audio that we could be hearing. But here's the DoorDash driver. I think I zoom in on her a little bit, but she's wandering around. It's kind of wild. She got lost. Not lost, but she couldn't find the home. And for those that don't know, usually with DoorDash, you have it. You have it. The person delivering has an app, and the person that orders has the app, and you can actually message the owner, who you're delivering to, if you get lost, right? So you can even call them, right, and vice versa. And you can also kind of see, like, you have a GPS and kind of see where they're at, so you can see each other's locations, kind of where they're at, and vice versa. But again, even with GPS, it's going to be slightly a little bit off depending on how well the service is. But she's probably messaging probably Xana, and Xana's probably giving her more details on where to go. But she had arrived there at 3:46, so clearly she spent at least 5 minutes trying to figure out where to deliver the food. And so here we see while she's still there, so now we know. So she's probably now, because we just saw her at 3:51 walking down Queen, right, or King? I get them mixed up, and I'm dyslexic, so I'm going to get them both wrong. Either one, the road. And so that's at 3:51, and then Bryan, we have Kohberger coming at 3:57, 3:56. So she would probably had already, if not delivered, because, she's walking back at 3:51. So I think she's probably either just delivering it now, or maybe she's getting messages from Xana and realizes that she's probably parked right in front of the home and just kind of got the address wrong. And so she probably definitely saw Coberger passing by. Yeah, who is Molly? I'm sorry, who is Molly? I keep saying Molly. Molly's food bag not in hand while standing in the road. Okay, Molly is the driver. Oh, Queen Road. Okay, Molly. Okay. I forgot. I didn't look up her name. Thank you. Okay, now that makes sense. Food bag was not in hand while standing in the road for several minutes. Who was she texting? We'll take a closer look. Did I zoom in already on her? Oh, I see the bag. The bag, I think I see the bag. Because I don't think you would be walking around. See, this is why we need the unadulterated. Yeah, she's got the bag. I can see it. In my opinion, she's got the bag. And who she'd be texting with, she'd be texting Xana, in my opinion. Now, I could be wrong, but just from my experience, because I've had I don't do DoorDash that much, but I did it for a little bit, living here. And when I first did it, for some reason, I don't know why, they couldn't find my apartment. And so I'd have to actually go walk out there and find them, wandering around in my apartment complex. So to me, that's who she's probably messaging, Xana, in my opinion. And I think I do see the bag. I'll have to look at it closer. I could be wrong. Yeah, she was arrested later on. So here is obviously Coberger, which looks like he tried to park next to this home on the street. Looked like he was going to try to do like a park between these two cars here, because there's a little gap here. But I guess didn't want to. Guess he didn't want to deal with doing the park there. So here's me zooming in. So I tried to do a couple of different things. Looks like an iPad. Maybe. It's tough to say. I'll have to go back and look at the footage and maybe break it down. Like I said, I'm waiting for the unadulterated version so we can actually like mess around with it and have like the original quality. Because I would like to see if there's a couple of shots. So here, again, I think one of the most defining things on the car is the shark fin on the Hyundai Elantra. And it's clear as day. I mean, you can see it right here. It lights up. There's several points where you can see the shark fin, which is where the antenna would be. And I guess that's not always... if I remember looking up Hyundai Elantras, they don't all have that shark fin. I don't know if that's like an aftermarket thing. Again, I'm not a car expert. But I remember when we were looking up his case, like that was one of the more defining elements on the Hyundai Elantra. Or unique to that model, I guess. But I did try to kind of... And I'm still kind of working on it, seeing if I could get like that angle to kind of like overlay into the vehicle. But again, I would love to have the unadulterated version because we'd have a little bit better detail. And maybe we could get a few shots where we might be able to see inside the car. I don't know. It's kind of dark. The other thing is I hate how they got this white spot highlight that they put on it. I mean, I appreciate they put a lot of hard work into it. They had, an hour plus footage that they kind of, grinded through, or 1 hour over plus. But when the car is passing near this railing right here, there's parts where the lights get, the motion blur gets blocked. And again, they claim that, he didn't have a front license plate. And it would be interesting because that would be a defining feature. And again, if we had the original quality, would we maybe be able to see the license plate? I don't know. Again, it's kind of wishful thinking, but again, that's the only time we could be able to maybe make out the license plate in this video would be after when the motion blur is being blocked by the balcony here. Also, I overlaid the three... Oh gosh, I gotta look at the times. The first pass and the last pass to see if it's the same vehicle. And here's me overlaying, for those that know. Like I take the or the 358. God, I forget the first one he did. 357. I have to look at the times. I know it's going to pop up here in a minute. But I took the first pass and then the final pass, and I overlaid them together. And they basically fit like a glove. And I did it again, I think with him leaving with 2 different passes. Yeah. So I apologize if you're on a phone. This is when he's after the homicides, and I think this is like the 3rd pass as he's leaving. Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't quite overlay them together, but I showed kind of like the path they took. Anyway, it'd be nice to have him without this guy putting the white dot over the car like he does right here. And so I can overlay it better. But here is another where I overlaid them both together. And I could probably do that with every single pass. And if anybody's questioning whether it's the same car or not, I think every pass is the same car.
Or the suspect is seen.
I didn't have enough time to overlay them all, but I may try to do that. And I don't know. I'm waiting for the original footage to come out so I don't have to worry about the stuff that they did in that footage. Those windows look tinted. Yeah, it's tough to say.
Completing the final pass around the apartments.
I would love to see the footage from because obviously he was caught from like point A to point Z. I mean, eventually there should be just a ton of footage of hopefully they release it all. And there's some really good cameras that he, when he's back in Pullman, Washington, that he's caught on. And even after the homicide. So yeah, I would love to see those. Yeah, thanks, Harrison. Yeah, there's so many different times. And it depends on which camera you're going off, because I'm so used to the Linda Lane footage.
Area overlooks the student.
Okay, so now moving on to the timeline. Owner who lived at 720 drove a white Elantra too. Interesting. I know I remember seeing a car that looked like a white Elantra, but I don't know if it was an Elantra.
The autopsy results for the Idaho 4
I think if you're talking about the one that's like in the corner, 720, I know I could probably just look that up.
Homicides involving Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin reveal the extent of the injuries each victim sustained during the tragic events on November 13th, 2022. Trigger warning for viewers. Kaylee Gonzalez. Cause of death, sharp force injuries, key injuries, more than 20 stab wounds to the lung and liver, a stab behind the clavicle cutting vein and artery, 2 brain bleeds, injuries consistent with asphyxiation,
I'm dyslexic,
and blunt force trauma.
I'll switch them up. It's going to happen. Let's see. But yeah, I wrote that address down. Looking at Molly's the DoorDash driver. So obviously, this isn't new news that what happened to the girls, and of course, trigger warning. I do have some of the crime scene photos. I'm not going over the more graphic ones. Yeah. But again, I think there's also, I think there's little tiny breadcrumbs that showed that who the target was clearly was Madison. And I think Kaylee's injuries are, a result of that, because I think he was expecting Xana by herself. Kaylee wasn't even supposed to be living there anymore, but she was spending the weekend with the sisters. And yeah, I think he wanted Xana all to himself. I don't know if he was, going to grape Madison, because I think he had, in my opinion, the Dickies overalls on. So, and that would be kind of hard. And I don't think he was meaning to leave any DNA, because obviously if you graped someone, you would probably clearly leave DNA. So I don't think he was grape, but I think it was more of a BTK killer where he just got gratification from the kill itself. And I think that's what it was, but I think he was really mad because Kaylee interrupted that, and I think her wounds...
And her face was extremely damaged and unrecognizable. It's theorized that Coberger could have had a second weapon, such as brass knuckles, to cause the injuries to Gonsalvez's head, or possibly the handle of the KA bar knife. Madison Mogen, cause of death, sharp force injuries, key injuries, stab wounds to the lung and liver, lacerations to the liver and lung, wounds to the forearm and hands, likely defensive, and a gash under her right eye from corner to nose. Xana Kernodle, cause of death, sharp force injuries, key injuries, more than 50 stab wounds, many defensive, with fatal injuries to the lung and heart, defensive knife wounds on her hands. Out of the 4 victims, Xana was able to put up a fight, and this is sadly evident in many defensive wounds she received. Ethan Chapin, cause of death, sharp force injuries, key injuries, fatal stab wound under the left clavicle, severing the subclavian.
And if anybody doesn't know clavicle, it's the your collarbone.
Vein and artery, and the jugular vein. In the documentary for Dateline, they claim that Coberger used his knife to carve wounds into both of Chapin's legs, yet the autopsy doesn't specify those details, so it's unknown if this was an error or evidence that hasn't been released.
Yeah, that's really weird. That was in that documentary that came out just before Coberger, pled guilty. But yeah, that was really weird. Black Witter, good to see you. Thank you so much for almost 2 years supporting this channel. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Yeah, the red light traffic stop, right, where he ran the red light. Yeah, I wonder if that officer just didn't have his dash cam going, and it was just kind of a quick hey, you ran this red light. I'm just giving you a warning, and so it wasn't, But yeah, it's in there. He did get pulled over, and again, that's a lot of people didn't cover that. I may do a short, or I just do a short video because there's some stuff that I haven't seen anybody. I'm sure again, YouTube now, everybody's covering the cases, but yeah, something I haven't seen a lot of people mention, and that does show that he's right there, next to the victim's home. So, recently, Chris, I'm sure a lot of you guys know the Interview Room. Big fan of his, Chris McDonough. He was interviewed along with Scott Morgan, who's also obviously been on this case for a long time. And they talk about a couple of the crime scene photos. And again, trigger warning, I'm not showing the very extreme ones if you've seen them. I'm only showing just one where there's a few little droplets of blood, where they explain what they believe is going on. So trigger warning, again, I'm not showing anything. I'm not showing the more graphic ones. There's just one that we're going to, because it's the one that they're talking about. Yeah, it's funny, Caroline. So, where he's getting pulled over and he's, and he, clearly admits that he's not wearing a seatbelt. And there's a commenter at the bottom in that video where it says, "See, I knew Coberger's not guilty. He tells the truth." I think it's so funny because it's well, if he's telling the truth, he clearly pled guilty. So, anyway. So here's some of the photo evidence. Again, I covered this case a lot when this case came out, and then again, I haven't covered it as much since he was, just before he pled guilty. So I want to kind of catch up on some things. Yeah, he's amazing. So just a couple of photos. I'm not going to be, I know a lot of channels have already kind of gone through them. I'm just going to show the one.
But he's thinking.
So this is Chris, and then it goes into Scott Morgan. This is the only one really I'm going to show that's graphic. Obviously, this is Xana's bedroom, which is really bad. I mean, both bedrooms are bad, but they talk about this, and this was very kind of interesting because they always kind of mention after he killed Xana and Ethan, he was kind of standing there for a bit. And this kind of explains how they know that.
About what's going on here. And so I just want to add one other dovetail into what Doc Morgan's probably going to say is, remember, he's got these photos now back at his holding cell in the Department of Correction. And he is reliving this entire fantasy because now that this case is adjudicated, if he ever goes towards an appeal, he's going to have all of this in his holding cell there.
Wow. Joe Scott Morgan, did you have something to say about this photo?
Yeah, absolutely, Vinny. Out of every photo that I've observed from this crime scene, for me personally, this is the most chilling because this represents a pause on the part of the perpetrator. Just imagine if you're holding a knife, as Chris had mentioned, and it's got the blood groove on it, which is this kind of
So he's going to explain again. I tried to be very careful because even with this photo, it kind of shows what I didn't want to show, but I tried to edit most of it out. But obviously, this is Xana's bedroom, and Xana was laying on the floor. Ethan was on the bed, and sadly, she was in a pool of blood. And this is just outside that pool of blood, and there's these little drops. And notice there's no tells. Or, it's just straight drops. And Scott is explaining what is going on.
Indentation on the side. And it's super saturated with blood, the surface of it. He's holding this thing down.
Now, Brandy, I do believe you're correct, but if you haven't done a DoorDash, remember, there's text messaging through your phone. And then when you're in the DoorDash app, there is a separate, so it's like Facebook Messenger, right? You're not using your text messaging, you're using the Facebook Messenger app. Well, in the DoorDash, there is an app that you're using to communicate. So, did they communicate that way? And sometimes, you may not even be, again, it's a little bit more, I don't want to mention too much because, again, I don't want to talk about stuff that I'm not, very adversed in, but I do know that you wouldn't be texting like, phone to phone, like, phone number to phone number. You'd be using the app, if that makes sense for those that don't use DoorDash. When we get a second, I'll pull up what we're talking about. But anyway, let's go back to what Coberger's doing.
Downward. Okay, just imagine this knife being at his side.
We'll look at it,
and
Brady.
Gravity is playing a part in here because it's drawing all of that wet, fresh blood off of that blade, and it's traveling straight down. Do you see how there's no dynamic movement of the blood? You don't have a tail leading off anywhere. It's a straight droplet where it's impacting the floor.
Yeah.
And here's the chilling part. He's moving his hand while he's doing this, or he's moving the positionality of his body. So if you look to the left, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 drops there that are kind of isolated over there. Well, for a moment, he held that blade in that position, a static position, so that those drops fell. Then he pans to the right. You've got some in the center. Pans further to the right. You've got more. You've got this cluster over here. So then it's almost like if you imagine a camera panning about, observing what has happened, and then trying to further understand, what do I do next?
So, yeah, that's really eerie to see that. I mean, whether you believe it's Coberger or not, just the killer just clearly right after now taking a fourth life, and now kind of standing there as the knife is dripping blood, and Gravity's just doing his work, and he's really just kind of standing, probably exhausted, especially, again, just got done taking 4 lives. You would probably be exhausted.
That's where the chill comes from here. Wow. You know, you can look at all the dynamic stuff where you've got.
That's amazing. Again, I do miss, having Steve on. We used to have a former detective who worked in forensics and learned so much about blood spatter and different things. And it's amazing what, it's kind of like if you watch Dexter. I love that show. It's kind of amazing how you can, it tells a story. It is gruesome, but at the same time, it does tell part of the picture.
Cast off, and that's one of the 2 young ladies upstairs.
So again, this is the only photo I'm showing from Madison's room because, there's photos in both rooms that are really gruesome. But there's actually, what's crazy, there's actually some of the same stuff here. So this is Madison's room. I think that's Kaylee's or Maddie's boots. And that's the bed. The rooms weren't very big. Anyway, so this is the front door, and you have kind of the same thing right here. It would have been Xana. Yeah, Xana would have been the one that ordered the DoorDash. And we can look at that footage one more time. If you guys want me to break it down again, I'm not 100% sure if I can see the bag or not. I can slow it down. Again, I wish we could have the original footage because it'd be better. But if you guys want, we can break it down. I'll slow it down and zoom in.
Possibly Maddie's bed.
But again, it's a little harder to see, but especially on your cell phone. But there is the same thing. It's the straight drops. Because if you had like what they call the little tails, the comet tails, that usually means a direction. But if they're just straight, just drops. If anybody's had a nosebleed, that's probably what it looked like if you just had like the average nosebleed and you were maybe moving around a little bit or just standing there. Maybe just turning, you would get something like this. So there's an object where gravity is just taking the blood and it's dropping, and that's what they got right here as well.
Bedroom, we see her Doc Martens there. If you look to the right on the door, there's a bit of dynamic deposition of blood right there, kind of with a downward trajectory. We don't really know what the point of origin is here because we don't have kind of a macro image of the room where it's kind of pulled back. But this is one of those locations, Finn. It's hard to make out from here. I've seen this photo before and hard to pick up, but just give me a little rope here. This is where part of that, the image that I talked about earlier with that 90-degree angle where you've got these passive blood drops.
So again, they call them passive blood drops. And again, I apologize if you're on the phone. I didn't get a chance. But there's just the same thing that we just saw with Xana's room. But this is in Maddie's room where the 2 girls, Maddie and Kaylee, are sadly. And you've got these droplets. They're, again, because obviously the photograph's taken from further away. But it's clear that you see kind of the similar thing where it looks like he was standing there, likely after he's done stabbing them. Maybe probably catch his breath or whatever.
Are
those white pumpkins are actually bright orange. Yeah, you got to remember if it's in, they're gonna look white. It's a white car. You remember we have Linda Lane footage. Remember, there's so much more footage we're gonna see eventually. Again, I think it's pretty clear, in my opinion, that who is the killer. I don't think you would throw your life away without putting up a fight, right? I don't know why you'd plead guilty. It's not like a false confession. That's just my 2 cents. Agree to disagree. I think there's still more. I would like to see the unadulterated version of the footage.
Kitchen slider. They were described as very large, leading.
Let's see. hang on. I will at the end. I'll go over. I will. We'll take a look at the footage of the DoorDash driver because it seems like a lot of people are.
The footprints were observed outside the back sliding door, specifically the kitchen slider. They were described as very large, leading from the door and extending outward. An officer wrote, "I observed the trail of footsteps head away from the slider, then turn right around a stump in the backyard and lead toward the front of the house."
So if you notice, you can see the crime scene tape up, and you can see there's a slight difference. So you can see the snow, and you can see how the snow started melting. And then, of course, it snowed heavily days later. But you got the footprints that, again, it could be anybody's footprints. Could have been the killer's as well. Looks like they're you got a set going towards and to and from. But then when you see the sky photo,
the footprints were observed.
There wasn't a lot of snow, so clearly that could have been anybody. And it said it went around this stump right here, so I don't know. It could have been, because I don't know why you would go all the way around this way if you were going to go down here. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, still even go back up that way unless your car's parked up. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Again, I think with all the people, since it is a college house, I think it could have been anybody's footprint.
Outside the back sliding door, specifically the kitchen slider. They were described as very large, leading from the door and extending outward. An officer wrote, "I observed the trail of footsteps."
Yeah, it's filmed in nighttime mode, so it goes into black and white.
Steps head away from the slider, then turn right around a stump in the backyard and lead toward the front of the house. The footprints were seen in the snow, indicating they were made during or shortly after the attack, given the weather conditions on November 13th, 2022.
Yeah, no, it didn't snow. Yeah, so that's where people get, because they'll see this footage right here. They'll see this photo here. So when the homicides happened, it hadn't snowed for a bit, and the snow was starting to melt. It was just in the parts where there was shadow. There were shadows. The sun couldn't hit the snow to melt it. And then I think it was like a day or two later, it snowed. So.
And a map of the K.A.M. A time frame
M42.
Not have a front license plate when asked, adding complexity to an.
Okay. So I did go over this in my last live.
The interview of Bryan Kohberger with law enforcement, conducted at WSU. He had heard about the incident through a university alert.
So if you missed my last live about this, I do have to play this part. I think it's hilarious in my opinion. But it is clear. And I did a video like a year ago. I'm like, dude, this guy's literally cutting his eyebrows.
Intelligent
Why would you do that?
And polite, but also annoying, detailing habits.
So here are some before and afters. So just keep that in mind. Again, I respect if you don't think he's a killer. I mean, again, agree to disagree, but again, well, this is right after the murders. Clearly looks very happy. But you can see the bush, and you can see the bush here. This both before murders, or actually, well, sorry, this is right after the murders, but before the arrest. It should say before and after the arrest. So before the arrest, very bushy. He's got the bush. And here, early on, right? Look at that. I mean, very dark, very prominent, bushy eyebrows. These are early on, right? Then what happens? About a year later, he shows up in court, and oh my God, what does he even have eyebrows in this one? I can't even see them. I mean, they're there, but they're very, I mean, he clearly, I think he went a little too hard on the right here. So it almost looks like he has no eyebrows at all. But I'm going to show you before and after. The guy clearly, I don't know why an innocent person would do that. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe he likes doing that. But it is evident as hell. He was cutting his eyebrows. And I love that the sister called him out for it, because it's just, because I remember, I'm like, holy hell, like, I think I was looking like at a photo like this photo here, and then, yeah, he's plucking them clearly. Yeah, he was plucking them. Because I remember like looking at, you know, like putting a video together. I remember like looking at like, you know, one of these photos, the before and after. And then he was in court and they had like, you know, because sometimes you have the court and he's kind of far away, but then there'll be reporters where they take, you know, some close-ups like this right here. And it's like, whoa, this guy's like doing something with his eyebrows. Because like, again, he almost goes too hard on this part here where it almost looks like he has no eyebrows. In my opinion. The brow burger, yeah. Yeah, but it's clear, in my opinion. All right, we're going to look at the video with the DoorDash, but I do have to play this part because in my opinion, I think he is the one, and I think this is hilarious, especially, you know, for someone that is, if he is the monster that has been sentenced. So inmates had been waiting for Coberger. This is kind of the new big update. Sure, if you have been following this. But I think this is hilarious.
The inmates making quadruple murderer, Bryan Kohberger's time in prison a living hell, knew he was coming to the high-security Idaho lockup and planned how they could carry out a campaign of harassment against him, according to a report. Coberger was transferred from jail to the only high-security prison in the state after he received 4 life sentences last month for the gruesome slayings of 4 University of Idaho students in 2022. And the prisoners at Idaho Maximum Security Institution in Kuna were aware he was coming, said Chris Dono, former detective. They got together and said, okay, well, you know, how do we harass this guy? The former cop said. And
I love this. They're not harming him physically. They are just... he goes into detail of what they're doing, but I think this is hilarious, in my opinion. Again, you know, because a guy, a monster like this, doesn't deserve any kind of peace at all.
Apparently, they set this up long before he got there. The guards were unaware of it until it started happening. Coberger is being held in solitary confinement in a restrictive unit called J Block that only has 32 other prisoners who are the worst of the worst outside of death row, McDonough said. The unwelcoming neighbors decided to carry out a relentless taunting campaign against Coberger by taking turns yelling through the vents into his cell around the clock. They're utilizing the vent system, they're kicking the doors, they're taunting him, McDonough said. And they're basically, you know, torturing him through, you know, using psychology. And my goodness, he's complaining. The 30-year-old former criminology PhD student has been whining to the guards that he's been unable to sleep at night because of the crusade against him. He's extremely annoyed and frustrated, McDonough told the Daily Mail. McDonough said Coberger will likely eventually be placed in the general prison population.
Now, that'll be interesting. Will something happen to him? I mean, yeah. I wouldn't feel bad if someone roughed him up. Again, that's just my opinion. And again, it's all in the hands of the prison system now. But again, what the prisoners are doing right now, the guards, you know, that is just something that even like just normal new people will probably get like hazed. So it's kind of like not anything new. It's just they're doing it much because they know who this person is. But yeah, there's a channel, Jumpsuit Paulo. Somebody probably knows in the chat. He spent like 10 years in prison. He's kind of covered this case ever since, and he talks about, you know, what happens, you know, in these prison systems and, you know, how the system works inside as an inmate. And yeah, he's got some very good insight. And says he's not surprised by this kind of behavior. And he even says, again, it does happen to most inmates that first come in, but be interested to see what happens when he gets put in general pop.
But in the meantime, he'll have to put up with the hazing. The inmates have come up with a creative idea in harassing him to the point where it's basically driving him crazy, McDonough said. The ex-detective said since Coberger isn't at risk of being physically harmed by the prisoner.
So yeah, when you message Brandy, right? I mean, let me look this up again. Because I'm not. Let's just look this up. DoorDash Messenger. DoorDash Messenger. Yeah. Oh, I missed. Oh, wait, actually it said it right there. DoorDash provides several ways for customers to communicate during an order. Customers can receive updates via SMS and push notification. Dash can communicate with customers through the in-app messaging. Yeah, right there. So yeah, so again, it's just like if you're on Facebook and you have Facebook Messenger. So again, it's not texting from, number to number, right? Although you're using an app to message, a person. So I think when they say there's no maybe direct communication, it's, from a phone number to phone number. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she's probably, because I don't know else, if she's lost, I don't think there's anybody else you'd be messaging than the person you're trying to deliver to, in my opinion. But yeah, I did want to look that up anyway. But yeah, that is what, and I think, yeah, this is what it looks like right here too. Oh, oops. And it just like any other messenger, but it's, it's in the app itself. There's a good one right there. No, give me the photo. Yeah, that's kind of a perfect one. Kind of, yeah. Yeah, because you'll get like automatic messages like saying, oh, your DoorDasher's close. But yeah, it's a separate messaging app, obviously. So, anyway. What else did I want to look up? Okay, yeah, we can take a closer look at the DoorDasher. If you guys want, real quick, let's just see if we can highlight anything. And it'd be nice to get the original footage. One second. Wonder if I should, you know what? Actually, let me do this. It'd be quicker. That one right there. Yeah, let's go 30 frames. Okay. All right, let's just focus on our DoorDasher. See if we can. I'm sorry, it's really small right now. Just bear with me if it's just a second. I'll zoom in and then I'll play the full thing without. I just want to make sure I got to where she's at. Oh, I wish they didn't highlight everything. Come on. Okay. Did I ever? You know what? Oh, dang. If I hadn't already gone. Oh, what did I start at 5:30? Gosh, yeah. If I hadn't already been an hour and a half live, I would enhance the audio of this, because there might be something in here. Okay, bear with me. Make sure she's in frame here. Yeah, I think she's. I don't know if I have a DoorDash bag. And she clearly got the phone. Yeah, see, there's something right there. I see the bag. Okay, in my opinion, I see the bag. Because she was probably thinking she's walking to. Yeah, I can see. In my opinion, I see the bag. Sorry, guys. Okay. I'm going to zoom it in. Just give me a second. I don't know if brightening's going to help at all. I hate, because again, they mess with the stuff here. Yeah, see right here, her phone lights up the bag right here. This is what I wanted to point out. There's like 2 instances that I'm going to highlight and take it for what you want, Will. I'm just going to provide what I see, and we'll finish on this. Oh, God damn it. Or gosh darn it. Sorry. Trying to get the best zoomed in. Slow that down just a little bit. Okay. This is where I think you can see it the best. Yeah. I wonder if I haven't DoorDashed in a long time. But they usually have a lot of the places now when they deliver, they have, let me pull up the bag here. Dash bag. Yeah, sometimes they have this, or some of the stores have, I guess it depends on where you order to. It all depends on where you order to. What was it? Del Taco, right? Sometimes they'll have like a special bag or a special way they bag it. Sorry, I'm going to show the footage here. Just a second. Dash bag. Idaho. Okay, so there's the bag, but there probably was something that was in. Anyway, okay, let's just play the footage. Oh, Jack in the Box. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Jack in the Box. Jesus. Well, I'll just leave this up. What did I think? Try to snag this up here. Let's just go with the footage. All right. Let's see, are you guys gonna be able to see that? I might just export it here. Okay. All right. Okay. So here's the footage zoomed in. And I think there's 2 spots where you can see the bag, in my opinion. And I would think she would have the bag, because, again, when I see a DoorDasher, whenever they're outside the car, usually they have the bag. Because usually I think they're, have like, they believe they're going towards the destination. So she's going to turn. Clearly she has a device because you see the light. And just as she turns right here, there is something lighting up that looks like a bag right here, in my opinion. Yeah, so she's got the phone and I think the bag. Oh, I should have kept zooming in right there. It's tough. Once we get the original footage, it might be a little bit clearer. It looks like the way she's like waving her arms. And right there's like something like square. I mean, there is the side mirror. So hold on, let me see this one time. Make sure this isn't the side mirror that I'm looking at. Yeah, like something lights up And it's different from... Because a bag would be kind of shiny, more reflective than your clothing, unless you... I mean, I guess it depends on the clothing you're wearing. But like a bag like that would light up. That would be very reflective. I mean, I could be wrong, but it's weird that just this part's reflective right here, and I think that's the bag. It's just my opinion. And then I think she has the phone and the bag in the same hand there. I think she switches. I don't know. That's tough to say. But it'll be interesting seeing the footage that gets released. I think she probably was in the car or at the house while he was driving around. So maybe she didn't see him she probably didn't see him face to face, or maybe just saw and heard the car. But, again, there was another car that goes by at some point that leaves in between all that. So, again, I'm sure she probably wasn't thinking that someone was going to get murdered. For those that don't know, what was it? Her former husband? The last time there was a murder was decades prior, and it just happened to be Molly's former husband, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Which is so wild. What are the odds? There has not been a homicide for... I guess I should look it up, but I think decades. And the last homicide that happened was, I believe, her former husband, which is absolutely what are the odds? It's just so weird. Yeah, that's what it looks like. I think so. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, was her husband. Yeah. God, that's so crazy. Man, that is wild. Yeah, I doubt she would have been any kind of major eyewitness, right? Because she probably was, unless she was literally getting in the car while he was getting out or vice versa or whatever. But sounds like he was just kind of, she just found, she was lost for a bit. And then by the time she found the place, she's probably doing the delivery, and he was just kind of, probably saw some activity with her and probably was just okay, I'm just going to act like I'm leaving. And so nobody was none the wiser at that point. Anyway, so if you came in late, I do appreciate everybody being in here, and I will be covering more on this case, and of course, Sebastian Rogers. There is supposedly at night, supposedly he's going to release some stuff in September, I think it is. Be interesting to theorize what they're going to release. That's such a cool name, Judge. Yeah, that would, for sure. I mean, I would add to timeline for sure. I would love to see the experts from the cell break. That would be the big thing for me. The experts from the cell break breaking down the logs and actually showing the data so people could actually see him messing around with the data. Because I did leave out some stuff in the live that I had set up where, he was, in those documents, he was, after the homicides, they noticed there was a lot of activity of him deleting and getting NordVPN, which is, tries to mask your IP. There's a lot of funky stuff he was doing. So, but anyway, good to see you guys, D. Happy birthday, Sensei. Thank you so much for this time in here. If you came in late, 8 days without smoking cigarettes. It's something I've been trying to quit this whole year, and I'm on my day number 8. It has been rough, but we're getting through it. I still have my stomach issues, but I'm going to try to pick up some more live shows because I've missed half this month. And but But yes, thank you, ladies, mods. God bless you guys. And yeah, I'll probably have some short videos out for both cases, and I'll probably pick up some more live shows as well. So, with that, yeah, thank you, Sensei. Oh, it's been rough, but I think the worst is over, hopefully. Thanks, Grandma. Judge. Yeah, it's a weird situation. I mean, you got a small town. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, weird circumstances. Oh, no worries, Jazz. Yeah, I'll try to do a short one, and I'll do something for the members and Patreons as well. So, all right, guys, have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. I'm gonna try to make up some lives, so just be aware, mods. I'll of course try to notify you in my Facebook group before. So, all right, thank you guys. Much love.